Hey guys, it's Rich, and I'm a little ticked off here. This is a video response to Lailoken. I hope I'm saying that correct. And it's not ticked off at his video. It's actually for the video that he responded to, which is Anita Feuntes. Now, I'm not going to touch on the same exact things that he did. I just want to give kind of the Air Force opinion to this Air Force chapel program sponsoring a pagan-based event. Okay, so Anita started her little rant off with that the military expects us to respect our enemy. And this is going to be a long video. I'm just telling you guys, go get the popcorn, start it up, let's go. Anyway, I take a yearly computer-based training and have been through multiple exercises and situations where we were taught and instructed not to respect those people shooting at us. So, respecting the enemy? No. Respecting the people that are fighting for us in respect to the Iraqis, the Turks, Nepalese, Palestinians, the people that fight with us for the causes that we stand for justice for all. Those are the type of people that we are trained to respect their way of life, to understand the way they live, and to basically treat them like human beings. It's come a long way, I think, since the days of probably World War II. I wouldn't know, I wasn't there. But I think it's come a long way since those times whenever everybody was an enemy. In Iraq, I've sat down and had Turkish bread with the Turks. I've had figs with the Iraqis, and they generally wanted to have that sense of community that I keep on talking about. They're really wonderful people, the ones that I sat and had meals with and have escorted around the base. I really enjoyed my time with them. So, those people, yes, absolutely. Respect them as fellow human beings. Respect what their religion is, what their culture is. Respect them for that. But by no means do we respect the enemy. Whenever somebody is shooting at me, you better believe I'm going to pick up a gun and I'm going to shoot right back. So nothing in our yearly training or even daily training tells us to respect the enemy. So I wanted to get past that. Then she goes into a little rant about the Air Force cadets going on a pagan-based spiritual retreat. I believe it was only, 6 members total. I think it was 4 to 1, 2 to another. And she has this big outrage about who paid for it. Well, I can tell you from somebody who has dealt with the money for a squadron that we all pay for it. And the fact that, and I'm going to check these off my list as I go, otherwise I'm going to reiterate it. I want to tell you that obtaining these documents is not hard at all. Obtaining these documents, you basically have to just ask. I spent so much money that I had to spend, because if you don't use it, you'll lose it. This is money from the taxpayers, for the taxpayers, for the purpose of either getting the mission done or boosting the morale of the members within the community of the Air Force, or even the community around the Air Force Base. This can include civilian employees. This can include retirees. Different events such as those air shows that everybody seems to like. I personally dislike them very much because I'm always working them. Another topic for another video. Anyway, that's where all this money comes from. We don't just pull it out of thin air. It's not like we have our own little flow from the National Reserve. Another topic for another time. So, you can obtain these documents. They're not secret documents. You can ask for them. And you can ask McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey what I personally spent our squadron's money on, because you have that right to know. So these documents that somehow seem so secretive are not secret at all. You can see it, and it's actually down to the exact penny how much we spent. Trust me, my documents were tight. I take a lot of pride in my documentation of how much I spent. Then she goes into the chapel, and what the chapel is on a military installation. Contrary to popular belief, a chapel on a military installation is not governed by one denomination. It is not one specific church entity. The chapel, in fact, is for all people of all faiths, no matter what you believe. And this also goes to what is the definition of spiritual, which is really what the Chaplain Corps is there to promote. Your right by the First Amendment to be a spiritual being in this world, in the military. The Chaplain Corps is there to support and vie for your rights. So, what does it mean to be spiritual? Being spiritual is, in the best way that I've ever had described to me, is that knowing that once you depart this earthly plane, this mortal coil, once you depart, something within you, a spirit, a soul, whatever you want to call it, an essence of who you are, goes on to a different existence. That is the term of spiritual in the way I define it. And that is what the Chaplain Corps is there for. Now, I touched on this with the pagan perspective. We did a topic, probably about a year ago, on being pagan in a college setting, and I related it to being pagan in a military setting. Now, whenever it comes to chaplains, they walk a very tight rope. A chaplain is hired by two entities. They are hired by the denomination of which they represent, and they are hired by the Air Force to do exactly what that denomination tells them to do. So they walk a very tight rope whenever it comes to any of the services that they give and how they express their viewpoints to anybody within the military. And by that I mean, and this is an example that I've had given to me by a chaplain who was actually a very dear friend of mine, and we've since lost touch, unfortunately. But one time, while he was in Iraq, he had a pagan come up to him and said, I need to do a ritual. It is Yule. It is a holy day for me. So this is what I need from you. He says, I need candles, I need this, I need that, incense, whatever. He said, these are the things I need for my ritual. The chaplain said, well, I, because of my denomination, cannot be a part of this ritual. However, as a part of the United States Air Force, as a being of the United States Air Force who is to vie for your rights, to uphold your First Amendment rights, what I can do for you is I can give you the keys to the chapel. Here they are. Here are the items that you requested. And whenever you're done, lock up, give me the keys. He protected his denomination and what it stands for, and protected that military member's right to have their religion in their own way. That is the role of the military chaplain. At its essence is to vie for your rights, to protect and uphold your rights of the First Amendment. She also points out in her little rant that in the military we don't pray in the name of Christ. This is true in a group setting only because there are many people that don't believe in Christ. So we ask for a moment of silence or a prayer that is based on that chaplain's individual denomination. And if that chaplain's denomination says pray in the name of Christ, then yes, they will say in Christ's name or in your holy name or something to that effect. But they usually try to make it in a way that is more non-denominational, so more people can relate, and it actually opens up a doorway to where members who don't have a faith can actually come to that chaplain, that they don't feel pressured by that chaplain to believe necessarily what that chaplain believes. It gives them that personality, that personal connection to that chaplain, by respect being the bottom line. So yes, you got that wrong. In some instances, Christ's name is prayed in. Next one is the AFIs that govern chapel tithes and offerings fund. Being somebody who has sat on the board for, I think it was at least 3 years, maybe 4, as a representative of the singles within the chapel program. I represented all other single members, and I got to see where all of the money was spent, what it was spent for, where it went, how many Bibles we purchased, how many Bible study books we purchased, what kind of sheet music we may have purchased for the pianist, stuff like that. I got to see where all that stuff went. There is a difference between the denominational tithes versus the free will offerings. The free will fund, or the free will offerings, I believe is what it's called. I don't have it marked down on my list here. But the free will funds, as I'll call them, are to be used for any chapel type program or any program that has to do with the spiritual development of a military individual. This can be used for anything from food to a retreat. I went on a few retreats. Sometimes the chapel would pay for members who didn't have the money to spend for a retreat but just really needed to get away. That's where that money came from. It didn't come from a pot of money that was given specifically by Christians. It was paid by taxpayers for the purpose of getting these military members to decompress, to find their spirituality, however it is expressed, whether it be through Christianity, Judaism, Islam, or paganism. However it's expressed, it's a gift from the chapel with these funds, these free will funds. It's given to the members saying, here, you need a break from the day-to-day work. You put in a lot of work. You don't have the money to take a break and go away on a small vacation. It may be a weekend, which mine were. So it's something that, yes, it's taxpayers paying for it. However, it's being used for the purpose it is intended. So no, it was not from a Christian denomination in the house of the Lord. And I'm going to get on a little tangent here about the chapel. The chapel on a military installation is a building. Okay? After each individual service, no matter what service it is, we do what is called sanitizing the chapel. That is where we take down anything that has to do with one religious denomination or one religion or another. Whenever we sanitize the chapel, yes, Bibles are left in the pews, in the little Bible holders. Yes, they're left there. But you will not see a cross hanging. You will not see a Christian flag. You will always see the American flag because that is a must in the chapel on a military installation. So there's certain things that you will see, and there's certain things you will not see unless you go to a church service of a Protestant denomination or a Catholic denomination, or in some cases a Buddhist or Jewish denomination or religion. A little insight to the way that the money works. I hope that helped. Whenever we're given money for specific purposes, they're actually put in what we call pots of money. And these are designated for certain uses. We can't just take from one pot of money and put it in another pot and call it good. It doesn't work that way. We have certain things, certain budget aspects that we have to meet. And if we don't meet it, next year we may not have as much money when we do need it. So we spend carefully, we spend wisely, and we try to get what we need to facilitate the military installation, the mission, the people involved, the members and the civilians in particular, the dependents, the children. These are all things that this money is used for. So, it's not just used for teaching people witchcraft. And on that aspect, I want to say that most likely these people already knew what witchcraft was. Most likely these people sought out these programs. Whenever I had my orientation here in Korea, as I am spending a year here. So Anita, if you're watching this, yes, I'm part of the weak military that you seem to think that we are. Whenever I had my orientation here in Korea, we were given a slideshow presentation, a PowerPoint presentation of, hey, these are the organizations that are offered to you. And one of them was an earth-based spirituality group. Now, I don't know if the slideshow was outdated. I do have to contact the chaplain about that. That's on my list of things to do. But, you know, they make this available to people who already have these faiths, for people that are trying to find a spiritual path or religion that they didn't necessarily have before. And they offer it to everybody. But I have an inkling feeling that most likely these members that went on these trips were most likely already pagan. Most people that seek out these organizations and these retreats do not do so on a whim. I don't know any atheist or agnostic out there that would just, on a whim, say, I want to go on a retreat. The Beltane Festival looks mighty good this time of year. Let me go to that. No. If they have no urge or they have never heard of goddess-based spirituality or nature-based spirituality, they're not necessarily going to be pulled to go to that. Most likely, in that event, if it is an agnostic or atheist, most likely they're probably going to take a break and go to a spa. So, with that being said, Most likely these people were already pagan. They sought out these different festivals to go to, and they found a way to fund it that is completely legal, that is completely on the up and up, approved by the military to support their First Amendment rights. Another thing that I want to say is brainwashed. Anita, really? Brainwashed? However, coming into the military, you expect to have some level of morale, some level of understanding that you are fighting for something bigger than yourself, something bigger than your little tight-knit community that you once knew. We're not brainwashed, we are taught. We are trained. We are empowered to pick up our weapons and fight somebody who may not look like an enemy at first, but in reality has a bomb strapped to them because they were brainwashed at one point. They were brainwashed into believing in something so terrible and so violent that even the mere thinking about it really angers me to my core, that one human being can do this to another. What the enemy out there is doing is true brainwashing. What the military does is conditioning, training, enabling the members to be something bigger than themselves, to empower them to be something stronger than what they once were, to take up your rifle and be willing to lay down your own life for somebody else. Brainwashed? No. Empowered? Yes. Another point that she made was the military embraces the devil. Anita, let me just say this right here, right now. The military does not give a shit about a religious devil, whether the concept of Satan or the devil is real or not is besides the point. In reality, whenever it comes to the military, the devil is anybody who is firing at us. So that is the devil. And we certainly are not embracing those who are trying to kill us. At the end of her video, she also made a point to say something about ecstasy and saying that military members are taking ecstasy. For one, I've never heard of this. No, contrary to her belief, the military does not endorse any type of drug. In fact, we have regular urinalysis tests. We are restricted more than the common urinalysis. Certain things that are totally legal, such as certain foods that people are able to eat in the civilian sector, we, however, are not allowed to eat because of what they may contain in them. Certain foods that contain higher levels of THC, we are not allowed to eat. Certain drinks out there that have different chemicals within them, we are not allowed to drink. So we really have to be careful as military members that we do not consume certain foods or drinks because of what they contain. So somebody being encouraged to take ecstasy, yeah, no. You have misquoted that phrase. It is to dance in ecstasy. Think of it in the way that David danced in the Bible. That dance that you rejoice in your spirituality, in your faith. That is the type of ecstasy that they are endorsing. And the final point that she made was that we're not ready. That the military is weak. That we're not ready for anything, apparently. That we're not ready for anything in the way that she made it sound. Anita, over in the corner of this room right here, like right over there, you will see my chem gear, my gas mask, and all that crap. Not ready. I'll tell you this. On my first deployment to Baghdad, I had 1 month to get my affairs in order. I was 20. I left in October, and my 21st birthday was to be in December. So yeah, not ready to leave before my 21st birthday, not ready to go and die for my country before my 21st birthday. There's certain things that you're never ready for. Even though you think you may be ready, certain things you don't want to have to do, but you do them anyway. I wasn't ready to have to pack up my bags, my belongings, and take them with me to a country I knew very little about, to a culture that I knew very little about. In that aspect, yes, you're correct. I am not ready. However, you get ready. Within 1 month, I had my bags packed. I had all the documentation that I needed. I was out processed of the base, and I was on a jet. In mid-October of 2006, we landed in Baghdad. Within the first week, I heard my first incoming. Throughout that deployment, I heard plenty of explosions, certain things that you're not necessarily prepped for, even though you've had training. You always see it as training. So when the reality hits, yes, you're not necessarily ready. But after that first explosion, if you're not dead, you get ready. You brace yourself. You find whatever deity you worship. You pray to them. You seek their guidance. If you don't believe in a deity, then you seek solace in who you are and what you have become. These are things that you do when you are in those moments when, yes, you're technically ready. However, tactically, you are not ready. But within that first split second, you get ready. So, are our military members ready? Overall, yes. I do believe they are. They have the tactical skills. They have the knowledge base. They have the training that they require for the situations in which they may or may not come in contact with. But being in the specific situation that they may be put in, no, they may not be ready for that. But, and this is a big but, in that split second decision, you become ready. You rely on that training and you forge through whatever gunfire you need to achieve your mission. And yes, you then are ready. You make your peace with whoever your divine is. So, with that, hopefully Anita will kind of open her mind a little, open her reality to the fact that other people don't necessarily believe in the same deity as she believes. And that's okay. It is the First Amendment that gives us that right. And it's also the First Amendment that gives you the right to speak a closed-minded view. And for both of those rights, I am proud to serve as a military member. For anybody who is interested in a wonderful resource, I can't offer this up enough, and I'm going to do a full book review on it. This is Faith and Magic in the Armed Forces. It is by Stephanie Barner. It is a wonderful resource. It's a little bit outdated now. It was written in 2008. There have been some laws passed and some military protocol that has changed since then, but it is still a wonderful book for anybody that is thinking of coming into the military, or even somebody who has been in the military for a while but is new to a pagan type path. A wonderful resource. But I hope that in the future that Stephanie Barner, the author, I hope she comes out with an updated version that incorporates some of the new protocols and the new military regulations whenever it comes to same-sex and issues like that. So that's basically all that I have, and if Stephanie does come out with a more updated version, even though this is a terrific book, if she does come out with that, I hope that I end up crossing paths with it, because I would very much like to read it. I hope this has been helpful for anybody who is either in the military, interested in the military, or who saw the video, either of Anita's or Lailoken's. I hope I'm saying that correctly. I am so sorry if I am not saying it correctly. I will have a link to both of the videos in the bottom bar, so you can make up your judgment. I always like giving both sides of the argument so people can make their own judgment calls and learn their own truth. So yeah, I think that's all that I have. Until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.